What's up, traders? It's Sunday night. Let's do our weekly homework. Looking for the supports and resistances that I'm going to be looking to trade this week. All the major instruments, cryptocurrency, the stock market, individual stocks. Let's first start talking about crypto because I got a lot of friends and members of my Discord that are sending me messages wanting to know when they should buy into this crypto rally. There is a tremendous amount of FOMO, fear of missing out, going on right now because, for the most part, crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything out there has been sleepy. There's been some little movements in this consolidation to get people's hopes up, but now we're actually seeing something kicking off. And I'm not saying that I think that this is quite over yet. The levels that I'm looking for are such. So if we go from the all-time high down to this movement right here, this low we made back in January, I'm seeing a resistance on Bitcoin about 51K. That's what I've been looking at for many, many weeks now. Ethereum, on the other hand, this is actually right at its resistance of about 3,500 right now. Now, as you know, if you watched my videos before, I look at the daily Ichimoku cloud with the basic settings to know if something is trending or not. So both Bitcoin and Ethereum are above the cloud, and we also have that extra confirmation of momentum telling us that this is a confirmed bullish trend. And as I said, the only problem is it's coming up to the 50% retracement of this last move. So I would like for people that want to jump into this on this run to be very patient, take low risk entries because it could pull back at any point. I made a video not to really toot my horn or something this week about the past. The video I made was talking about when they should get in. And yes, it was in hindsight. There was a key thing that happened back on March the 15th. Every single cryptocurrency and every single exchange did this little volatility spike. And that told me to tell everyone else to wake up that something was happening. I'm always hedging my words, but I wanted people to wake up because this sleepy consolidation was showing some interesting signs. And these are the signs that you got to look for if you want to be successful in trading. You can't sit here and jump in once the price has already gone up. You see these green plus 3%, plus 5%, plus 3%, that gets your feelings going. I've had people tell me literally in DMs, I feel like this is something I need to get into. No, the feeling is FOMO. And ironically, the fact that I'm hearing so much of this sentiment is so prevalent, it makes me really bearish. It does. You have to be looking for these little bitty instances that are weird. You have to be looking for these setups when no one else is. Otherwise, once the trend has proven itself to you, now you start to get that feeling like you're going to miss out on it because everyone's trying to get back up to the high. Everyone's trying to make a new high. There's people I know that have two mortgages on their house that they put into crypto. It's not just that people want crypto to go up, it's that they need it to go up. And so you got to separate yourself from that kind of risk taking. Be patient. Be patient. I think that the move that we've had over the last 2 weeks is already, by these standards, mature. Wait for some sort of correction to this movement, and then we'll talk about when's a good level to get in. Okay, we just had the turnover here, so all those numbers fixed up. All right, so that's crypto right now. One thing of note that I also look at in crypto is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, this is actually done in reverse, a pretty hard reverse in the last week. It's not fully going to the other side yet, but we're showing a few signs of alt season, which a lot of people have been asking for. Probably should have been more diligent on this because people asked me that question. Really, when it broke this bullish trend, in other words, Bitcoin's dominance, Bitcoin's market cap dominance was trending upward for the better part of the first quarter. And now it started to go to the other side as we get this risk on appetite as Ethereum, as Solana, as all these other altcoins start to outperform. That reminds me. Let's look at Solana real quickly. Solana is one that I've been talking about. I posted this spike trade back in February, and I know that a lot of people have been playing this up. I actually like Solana up to this point. I liked that trade. I like the fundamental use case of Solana for its NFT platform. It's a lot easier to mint things, cheaper to mint things than Ethereum. And so I like the case of it. I think that's kind of playing into the narrative a little bit. But this trade that started back in February never stopped out, never broke this consolidation period around 80. Well, it's now come up to basically the 3-to-1 risk reward. And so I've recommended decreasing risk on this. I don't say to get out, but you need to be very cautious at this point that we could have a little bit of a pullback. Once we do get a pullback, let's say somewhere we go from the bottom of the range up to here, 109, 110, halfway of this movement, that's a good pullback. So be watching for that. So this week, Bitcoin could come up, or excuse me, crypto as a whole could come up a little more. But now at this point, I'm looking for a pullback to somewhere 50% of, say, this range. So Bitcoin, that would be about 42.8K. Ethereum, that would be probably 3,040. So those are my levels for crypto, the major crypto pairs going into this week. All right, let's look at the stock market. So same plan since February the 24th. This spike trade right here, where Russia invaded Ukraine and it created that false breakout. This trade, which is a trade with a stop below that February 24th low, this is still on. I still expect us to go and retest the high. It's funny how I was talking to some friends today about the different fear narratives. Like they posted something about the yield curve inversion and how that in every other case except one in history that has necessitated a recession. So let's get this straight. Towards the end of 2021, it was COVID variants. Then it was inflation and interest rates going up. Then it was Ukraine getting invaded, starting World War III. And now nobody cares about any of those things. So what is it? Well, yield curve recession, which is even more arcane. Go walk out on the street and ask the average person how they're feeling about the economy. They'll say like, "Oh, it's," but look, what causes a real recession is like a major economic event. Right now, unemployment is very high. Yes, prices are going up. Yes, people are complaining. Yes, energy prices are high. But that does not necessitate two consecutive quarters of GDP decline. Everyone's trying to predict it. Everyone's trying to doubt this rally. But the highest probability is we're going to go back up to retest the high on both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. I actually think since we got this little pullback here, finally this face ripping, short covering, whatever you want to call it, rally off the bottoms on the S&P 500 futures or just the stock market in general. Finally, we got a little bit of a pullback. This is actually an interesting pullback because on the NASDAQ, it actually pulled back exactly to that 50% retracement of the down move. In other words, it broke above it. It broke above the 14,800 level and pulled back to close right at that level on Friday. Being as the last couple months have been so volatile, I could actually see a move down in here, maybe play around a little bit. We'll see. I'm going to come into this week totally neutral. It could hold this support to go up. If I start to see signs of that, I'm going to be bullish, but I'm going to assume, just like always, that the market wants to play some games. And so I'm coming into this week pretty neutral, but that is the level that I'm going to be eyeing on the Nasdaq, where we get to at the end of the week. S&P 500 is, of course, a little bit more bullish. It is above that level, and it looks like it's about to open here in just a little bit. But here's what I look for. This is a really good example of it right here. So this was the all-time high on January the 4th. Come down to the February the 24th low. And you see that level, that 50% level is 44.55. Let's use the Wayback Machine right here to show us what happened. And go down to the 2 hour. Okay, so we hit that level, and then price initially respects it. I actually took a short trade to test the level here, and I was able to get out at break even because it did this little maneuver here before the end of the day. So I like it that I can save myself from a little bit of pain, because then it shot up above the level and then came back. Remember, this is that level that we set up from the all-time high down to the low. You can see price respecting it here. It comes back down, tests it, holds it, gives it one more kiss, and up it goes. That is why I trade off levels. That's why I make this video and I call it support and resistance, because these are powerful levels that you can dig down on and find really good low risk entries. It also helps you to gauge the sentiment of what the market is doing. If we had just looked at this level right here in isolation on March the 18th, was that on a weekly? I got to go back in March and see. That was on a Friday. So I could probably go back and look on my videos from 2 weeks ago and see where I'm talking about this level. And then you get the confirmation that it breaks above it, holds it one more time. Boom. There you got to close above it, pull back to test it, up off of it. You're bullish. Look for bullish trades. There you go. And there's your money. It's really kind of that simple. It really is. So that is the general indexes. They're bullish. They are bullish. All right, what else is going on? Let's look at some. I got out this last week of my silver trade. This breakout is just not working. Sorry to the gold bugs. Sorry to the silver bugs, but your breakout is not happening. It could go, but it's not behaving like a breakout. It's looking more and more like gold has made a double top. In fact, as you see, you got a nice little spike right here. Yeah, actually, this is why I do this, because now by making this video with you guys and taking a look at this and looking in the big picture of the weekly, uh, this is a double top, guys. Like, I'm gonna be looking for short setups on gold this week. Yep, yep. Make a note of that. All right. What else? Oil. Man, I don't wanna trade oil. It's so volatile. Um, but if you again, let's just go in review. So from the low in December, where I picked up some ExxonMobil, which I still have because it has a good dividend. Energy stocks are not gonna go away. People are still gonna need to fill up their cars. So I'm still long oil with ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips. And so up to there, boom, 96. That was the level that it came up to. And then we can do the inverse of that from this move to here. That sets up a resistance at 112. Boom, comes up, holds it, and now is coming back down. I do expect this to come down to 96, and I'll go ahead and this speculative here. I do think it will break the support. But as I've said in every video, I've been talking about oil. Every week I talk about oil, all the way from its run up to 100. Of course, I didn't predict it to go up this crazy because, well, that's what happens in parabolic movements. But I do believe that at some point, we're probably going to come back down to retest this range. Let's call it 80. And then oil for the next probably year or two is going to trend between 80 and I would say 120, just right around that average of 100, like it was almost a decade ago. Once these producers start coming online, that's where their break even points are, and that's where they're going to be able to make money. So the supply is going to catch up, and this is where oil is probably going to sit for a good long while. I think that a higher oil price is actually in the long term going to be bullish for EV. Speaking of which, Tesla, wow, attaboy Tesla. They got a dividend, which is interesting. Well, don't really have time to go into it now, but they're basically going to issue shares as if you had dividend reinvestment plan enabled. That's what the dividend is going to be. They're going to give shares to people that have shares. Rivian. Rivian is interesting. I own Rivian now, not in a YOLO amount, but if this is actually a bottom, we're getting into that territory that I kind of like. In fact, if you go and look at the structure here, this little recent trend we had post earnings off of here, it's coming up to a 45 level. You can bet that I've got alerts there and I'm going to be looking at 45. So yeah, let's see what happens. I also understand that pot stocks are starting to trend because the House, I don't, they kind of slipped under the radar. The House voted last week, the U.S. House, to pass a legal federal decriminalization bill. So that's a big breath of relief here in the pot stock. I'm not jumping in just yet, but just wanted to make that note to people that are so inclined to be interested. And that's getting up close to the end of the things that are going on here. I think we covered oh, one more thing. Took a trade in TLT bonds. Bonds have been very, very depressed. And what happened was if we have this as a bottom, credit to Manaconda for calling this out. They had a dividend on TLT, which is a catalyst event, but also if we look at ZB, the bonds, the futures, they also did. Oh, that's a pretty little spike right there. Nice little reaction level, 1, 2, 3, 4 bars, like a week of bullish activity, pulls back on Friday to the 50%, and now we can define a trade on bonds. If this is a potential reversal, this is the kind of setup that I like to see. Do you remember oil? Do you remember oil where too many lines, where oil came up, did a little reaction, and then pulled back to a resistance, and now we look for a trade. That's the same thing in reverse with playing the reversal of TLT, where we have a move down, big move down over the last quarter, and then a potential reversal holds that support, and now we're looking to play it back up. And where am I going to play it? Of course, I'm going to look for it to do a 50% retracement, and we've got some good action right there. So I am long TLT up to 141, and whatever that is in bonds, not quite sure, but long bonds is the play. So long stocks, long crypto, long um, s- crypto, stocks, bonds, long, oil, short. But as always, uh, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Trade wisely. We'll see you guys in the next video and in the videos this week. I'm going to try to make one almost every day. So keep an eye out. Check the links below to join my Discord. It is free. I just want to crowdsource ideas and opportunities from people. TLT, this is something from a member on my Discord, actually one of my admins. So I'm basically just trying to make a community of traders, not doing a Patreon, not doing any kind of paid service. I want people to share their ideas because I can't look at every single chart out there. Crowdsourcing opportunity. So that's my goal going into the rest of the year. So trade wisely, guys. We'll see you in the next video.